Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This video was demanded a lot because of the TikTok post I made about me getting into Sophia University in Tokyo, Japan. So this video is basically just about how I got the idea of doing it, the application process, how long it took, the money, just any and everything. And if I miss anything, then you can comment your question and I'll try to get back to you because I did not write down all the questions everybody gave me. But I feel like if I just go through the entire story, then it'll be just really easy for you to get all your questions answered. You know what I mean? So anyways, so I was about to graduate from college and it was 2020. And I had told my mother that I think I want to spend some time in Japan because I had told her when I was in high school that at some point in my life, I want to spend at least a year in Japan. And I felt like me graduating with my bachelor's degree, it was the perfect time because I didn't really have any attachments to anything. And, she was all on board, but then COVID got worse. So I had took a job that, at a company that I had interned with, and the job was completely and utterly fucking terrible. Nobody tells you that when you go into corporate America, being from the generation that you're from and being as educated as you are, I know a lot of us aren't educated, but I guess my level of educated, you go into these corporate America and your coworkers are all in their 50s and something, and they've been at this company for 30 years and they treat you like utter trash and you're stupid. And nobody tells you about that. You just get thrown into it. And then all of a sudden people are like, all these kids are quitting. Nobody want to work a job. And it's because you guys are terrible and you treat us like fucking crap. So anyways, I was working there for almost a year. And it was about to be 2021. And I was telling my mother that I'm fucking miserable. I'm depressed. I've already gotten a therapist. I have to do something different. And she was like, well, why don't you just go after your dream? Remember when you were talking about going to Japan? I think this is the best time because I want you to just go after everything you want to go after. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should. And I talked to my dad about it and he was like, Pookie Bear, do everything that you want to do, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go for it. So I thought about what I could do in Japan, and I felt like since I don't speak the language, basically the only thing I could do is teach English because I know my sister had taught overseas and she had told me that, you can still teach over there without speaking the language. So I did a bunch of research. I went on gadgeonpot.com in case you want to work over there. And I basically went on the job board every day for months, applying after applying after applying. And there were a couple of places that I did interviews with that wanted to hire me, but then COVID just kept getting worse and worse and worse that they were like, I don't think we can bring you over here. So then there was this company called Interact. And they ended up hiring me on. The process to get hired on was very, very fucking long. It was at least 4 months where you had to do everything, interviews, wait to see if you got the job or whatever. So when I got the job, they had located me in a place that was very, very rural. I looked it up and I talked to a bunch of people that was in the group chat because they had a group chat of people who had got accepted for the job. And I talked to a bunch of people and they were like, it's really bad because nobody speaks any English. You're not going to be able to get any help. You're not going to be in mainly the people who can speak English are in larger cities. And then they were like, you're going to be so isolated. You're going to be alone. And that started scaring me, thinking about the fact that when I go out there, I'm not going to have anybody to begin with. And then also I'm going to be where I'm living, I'm going to be so secluded. I'm not going to really be able to make friends. I'm not going to be able to communicate with anybody. And I'm going to be the only one stationed at the school that I'm at. And that scared me. I didn't think I would have that great of a time. So I was on TikTok, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make the best out of the situation. So one night I was on TikTok and I saw this girl and she was a black woman. She may be mixed. She looked a little mixed to me, but I assume she's a black woman. And she was talking and she did a reaction video to her getting into Sophia University, and I think was Waseda, some other places too. And I was kind of like, how did this black American girl get into these universities? Does she speak the language or something? And so after I liked the video and commented on it, I guess my For You page kind of wanted me to see some more stuff. So I think a couple of days later, a video popped up on my For You page of this girl. And she was like, universities in Japan where the programs are taught in English. And she had did a list and was pointing to them. And I was like, there's universities over there where like the programs are in English. Because it was funny because like before I found that out, I had told my mother, because after I got the job, they had scheduled me to leave in April of 2021. And we were getting closer and closer and closer. And my mom was like, I think you need to, what are you going to do when you get back? It's only going to be a year. And I was like, okay, I think when I get back, I'm going to do my master's degree. And she was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. So that was the plan. So when it got to April 2021, I think a few weeks before it was my time to leave, and they told us don't buy a ticket over there until we tell you, like, this is your definite start date. It was a couple of weeks before. And they had sent me an email telling me that, like, due to COVID and due to a bunch of people that were scheduled to come before you, you cannot come over here until spring of 2023. And I was like, okay. So I basically told myself, well, this is what I want to do. This is what my dream. I've been working towards this. So the only thing I can do is go to school in the meantime. I was like, I'm going to go get my master's degree. And by the time I get done with it or almost done with it, it'll be time for me to go over there. Like, it'll fly by. So it was crazy that video had popped up because I was just talking about the fact that, like, I'm going to just go get my master's degree. And then this video pops up telling me that, like, hey, you can maybe go get your master's in Japan and it'll all be in English. So I went on Google and I looked up list of universities in Japan that have graduate programs taught in English, and a website popped up and it gave me like a list of all the schools in Japan. And I was like, okay, well, I need to narrow it down. So I felt like, okay, I need to be in a major city because I need to be able to talk to people who can possibly speak English. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to learn Japanese. I am. But I was like, in the beginning when I'm there, I need to be in a place where there's a good chance where that like they will be able to speak English. And so I was like, well, the only city I can think of that like I would be cool with living in and would seem cool, and I know that they would speak the language, is Tokyo. And so I took the list down and said, school universities in Tokyo with graduate programs taught in English. And only like I think 5 popped up or something. And I was like, okay, well, let me go on the website. So I made a list of all the schools. It was Sophia University, Tokyo University, Waseda University, and then like 2 others. I forgot. I know one was Temple, and then it was like something else. And I wrote it down. And so I went into Google and I typed in Tokyo University graduate programs taught in English, Waseda University graduate programs taught in English, Sophia University graduate programs taught in English. And I just kept putting that into Google. And the link for the list of all the graduate schools popped up for each school. So I clicked on them and then I scrolled down to try to find like, social sciences. So I went all the way down to social sciences for every single one of them. And I looked at like what would align with what I want to do in the future, because I'm a communications major and I wanted to just get a master's in communications, but none of them had a degree in communications. So I was like, I'm gonna have to just apply for a program that I feel like aligns with what I'm trying to do in the future, what I'm interested in learning, not necessarily what I want to do in the future, but what I'm interested in learning. And for Sophia and for Tokyo U, basically it was global studies. And so then I was like, okay, I'll apply to their global studies program. And then for Waseda, it was like international communications something. It was something. And that was actually more aligned with what I was very interested in. So I was like, okay, Waseda is my top choice. Tokyo U is my second choice. And then Sophia is my bottom choice. And for the other universities that I looked up, they did not have any programs that I was interested in. So I crossed them off the list. So I narrowed it down to 3. So I looked at their application date, and basically the application date for the spring term was already passed. And so I was basically like, I've lost my chance. Like, I'm not going to be able to apply until a year from now. Like, that is it for me. And then I saw that they have an autumn entry where you can apply to come there to start there, not in April, but in September. And I was like, oh, I wonder when their applications are open. And they were open then. Like, they weren't open then. I think it was like at this point November, and they all opened up in December. And so I was like, oh my God, like they're about to open, like they're basically open now. Like I need to get everything prepared. So I looked up so they really had a step-by-step process. Once you click on what school you want to go to, like Sophia University, for instance, once you click on global studies, it'll take you to the website, and then you click on admissions, and then basically it'll have a whole guideline and a whole step-by-step process of how you're supposed to apply, what do you need to apply, what do you need to turn in, the turn in dates, when you get the results, everything. So basically what they wanted from you is they want proof of graduation. So basically you need to send in like your transcripts, and on your transcripts it'll say like, you've graduated. They said that you need to at least have to be taken very seriously. I'm sure you can apply anyways, but to be taken very seriously, they said that you need to at least have a 3.0 or above. And I was glad, because I think I graduated with like a 3.75, so like 3.7, 3.8. So I was like, okay, that's good for me. And then they were saying that you have to give them a statement of purpose, which is like, why do you want to be at this school? What made you interested in this school? Once you graduate with your degree, what are your plans with your degree? What do you want to do in the future? Blah, blah, blah. And they said that has to be, it varies from school to school, but I know normally it was around 800 to 1,000 words. And then they said that you had to have a thesis proposal, which is basically like a sneak peek of what you want to research over there. And I think that was the hardest part for me, because I have never written a thesis proposal. I've never seen a thesis in my entire life. I didn't know anything about it. And every time I would research how to do it, everybody kept saying something different, because nobody, was trying to, it seemed like when I looked it up on Google, nobody had written a thesis proposal for the major that I was going into. So I was at a loss. Like, that was the biggest stump of my life. And I went to my mom, who has a PhD, and she was like, oh yeah, but mine was in chemistry, so like I don't really know how to help you. Like, a chemistry thesis proposal is so different. And I went to my dad, and he was like, when I got my master's, I went the way where you don't have to give a thesis proposal. So the only person I could go to was my sister. And she gave me a lot of pointers. She told me what they're looking for. She basically broke it down and told me like, hey, they want you to tell them a little bit of backstory about how you got to what you want to research. So basically what I want to research is how the harmful stereotypes in Korean and Japanese media, affect their perception of us. So she basically told me that like you have to give a backstory about like how you got to this topic, how you want to go about, researching it and going about your plan, and just a couple of other things. And so once I got that, I pretty much, sorry for the little pause, my sister had walked through and I kind of didn't want her in the video. So I just paused it I stopped it for a second. But anyways, so once my sister gave me the breakdown of like, hey, you got to talk about how you got to this topic. You got to talk about, what type of literature you pulled from that inspired you, and you got to talk about how you're gonna go about researching this. Like, she gave me the step by step, and that's when I was able to finally like have the skeleton, so I was able to put the meat on it. And it was a bunch of writing, editing, rewriting, editing until it was basically perfect. And that was the hardest thing. And my mom told me that like that is probably the hardest thing you have to do until you really have to write your thesis. And your thesis is like a little bit easier because it's not so condensed like the thesis proposal. But I think the thesis proposal had to be about 1,000 words. And that was for each university I applied to. So like I said, it was just very difficult. So I will say that like once you get to the thesis proposal part, and you have to write it for every university, you have to write a thesis proposal. Luckily for Sophia University, the statement of purpose and the thesis proposal was combined, and it had to be about 1,000 words. So it was a little bit easier to write because it was like, oh, this is why I want to go to the school. This is what, inspired me to do the move or whatever. This is what I want to do in the future. Oh, this is my topic and this is how I'm going to go about it. The end. It was a little bit easier with Sophia University because, like I said, it was combined. But with, Tokyo U and with Waseda, it was such a, since you had to write 2 different documents, it was a little bit harder. But, all I can say is the hardest part of this entire process is that thesis proposal. If you have any professors in the past that you're still cool with, I advise you to really hook up with them and get them to help you. and send, and every time you write and rewrite that thesis proposal, send it to them every single time, or send it to somebody you know that is educated with that type of stuff, and get them to look it over and give you some pointers, because oh my god, it was a beast. So anyways, moving past that, they wanted your transcripts, they wanted the statement of purpose, they wanted the thesis proposal, and then they want 3 letters of recommendations. Every single school wants 3 letters of recommendations. Now, some were stricter than others. Sophia University just told me they wanted 3 letters of recommendation. Waseda told me they wanted 3 letters of recommendation from past institutions that I had been to. So I had to contact all these different teachers that I haven't spoken to in about a year. And then Tokyo U was the same way. They were like, we need at least 1 from a past university, and then the 2 can be from like whoever. So all I can say is you need to have some people in mind that you know will come through with giving you their letter of recommendation. And then I know for like Waseda, they had to go in, like the people who were giving you letter of recommendations, they didn't just send you the letters and then like you put it in. They had to go to a website, make an account, and then they had to sign into it and then upload their statement, their letter of recommendation, because I guess the school wanted to make sure that like you didn't write it up yourself, that it genuinely came from them. So like I said, have some people in mind, because it was a scramble for me to like, because I already had people in mind and it was only like 1 or 2 people. So to have to go back to like all like these past emails of like advisors or teachers and be like, hey, can you please send me something? But anyways, so then after that, they need so they needed the statement of purpose, the thesis proposal, the letter of recommendations, your transcripts, and then they need a picture of your passport. I don't know if you can send a picture of your driver's license. I don't remember them ever asking for a driver's license. I think they always ask for a passport because they already assume that you have one. So if you're applying to these places, do not try to think that you can send your driver's license in, and don't even try to email them asking them, because trust and believe, when they put on that paper, this is what they want, you can't give them some alternative thing. You need to give them what they want. So if they're over there like, we want you to send us a copy or a scan of your passport, then that's what you send in. Then you also have to send a picture of yourself that has to be taken in the last 3 months, and it has to be facing forward. It has to be plain. You don't need to smile or anything, and it has to be a completely plain background. I just stood like in front of a wall in here because it's white, and I just was like, and just took the picture of myself, and then boom, bam, that was it. And what else do they need? I think that's it. I think it's, like I said, let's go back over it. I think it's the letter of recommendation. It's the thesis proposal, the statement of purpose, the transcripts, a picture of your passport, a picture of yourself. And then I don't think I'm forgetting anything. The only other thing I think that one school asked me for was a picture of my degree. So I sent it to them, but I think that that's it. If I'm missing anything, then it depends on your major. Cause like I said, that's what global studies requested of me. But every single, major is going to ask you something different. The meat of it is kind of going to be the same, but there's a chance that it's different. So don't think that that what I'm telling you is strictly what you're going to have, because you may not choose the same major as me. But what I will say is that when you pick what major you want, the step-by-step process of what you need to turn in is so easy to understand that you'll be fine. So then it comes to the pay of having to submit your stuff. So it varied from university to university, but it was still around $70 to $80. It was around that to send all your stuff in. So you need to have that prepared. So, because I think that like one place was like 75 and one place was like 80, but let's just say $70 to $80 to send your stuff in. And I know you're probably like, oh my God, that's a lot to submit your stuff. But like, that's how it is. You got to be serious about it. Like, whatever. So after you submit everything and after you send everything in, one thing about these universities that I thought was really, really nice is universities in America, if you're missing a document or you need to add something else on and you forgot to do it, then they throw your application out. But one thing about these Japan schools is that if you have something missing or you need to add something or give them a little bit more information, they will email you and like, ask you to send it in. Like I know for Waseda, they needed my grading scale, and I thought it was attached to my transcript, but it wasn't. So I had to contact my university. I had to get the grading scale and I had to send it to them. And my mom told me that at universities in America, if that would have happened and my grading scale wasn't there, they would have just thrown my application out. And my sister said the same thing, like, yeah, they would have threw it out. And then I know for Sophia University, I did not have I didn't have something on there. I think it was the grading scale, and I think I didn't put one of the colleges that I had went to on there. I forgot to put it on there. And they had I remember what it is. They didn't have a grading scale, and they also would not accept the transcripts that I sent in with if they weren't sent directly from my university, because I had sent them the transcript, but they wanted it directly from the university. And they were like, you have 5 days to send us this or we're going to throw your application out. And so I quickly contacted my universities, had to send in, I made the deadline. But like I said, if it was any other school, they would have they would have thrown it out. And another thing I just remembered, Tokyo University and Waseda, they needed you to have a GRE score. A GRE is basically kind of like if you remember taking the SAT. It's basically just a test you take to get a score to so people can see basically where your mind is right now. It's stupid, it's dumb, I hate it, but you got to take it. And that's what I had to do for Tokyo University. I had to go take the GRE. And did I make a terrible grade on the GRE? Yes, I did. But it's whatever. You had to do it anyway. So just be in mind that, like, if you're going to apply for any of these schools, you need to pay attention to exactly what they're telling you, or you'll miss it. And they're gonna say they need a GRE score. So you need to be prepared to sign up for the GRE and take it. And it's good to take it anyways, because just in case you don't get into any of the schools in Japan, if you apply to some schools here and you're like, oh, I'll just do abroad, you're gonna need your GRE score. So just be ready to take it if you're going for graduate school. If it's undergraduate, you don't have to take the GRE. But if you are a graduate student like I am, be prepared to have a GRE score. You have to have one. But moving along back to what I was saying. So everything was sent in and it was time to wait, because all of them gave their results on the same week except for Tokyo U. Tokyo University gave you your results. So this is December. Like the deadline was like end of December. And I had everything turned in. I put everything over. And then basically Waseda told me, hey, you'll get your results you'll get your results June something. And then Sophia was like, all right, we got all our stuff. You'll get your results June something. And then for Tokyo U, it was basically like, you'll get your results April something. So need I remind you, it's December. You're not going to get your results until April for Tokyo U, and you're not going to get your results until June for the other ones. So it was a waiting period. I mean, you're like, oh my God, I wonder if I got in. I wonder if everything was good. Sometimes you even look over your stuff again just to be like, oh my God, like, I wonder if I would have changed that. Would that maybe change anything? Whatever. So, here I am at, April. And I get, the notification from Tokyo University, and they told me that they have rejected me. I didn't really think much of that, because that was, for Tokyo U, I wrote the thesis proposal the way I thought it's supposed to be written. And I only found out later on that I wrote it completely wrong. So number one, Tokyo University is like already like the Yale, over there. So it's already hard to get in. But also I cut myself some slack, because I was like, that thesis proposal was written terribly. But by the time my sister came in, she helped me when it was time for me to apply to Waseda and Sophia. So then it was written a lot better. So then fast forward to last week, the results on Monday on Monday is when I got the results for Waseda last week. And they had told me that they rejected me. And I was crushed. I had a breakdown, because it was like, it was so much work of writing and rewriting and getting this and contacting this person and paying for this. It was a lot. And I told myself that, like, if two schools already did not want me, there's no way that the third school is going to want me. Whatever I'm trying to talk about, whatever I want to pursue, whatever, it's not going to work out for me. And it didn't make it any better that my sister had told me that, like, you're not competing with people in your state. You need to stop thinking so little. Like, you're so used to thinking that, like, when you're going after something big, you're competing with people in your state. No, baby, you're competing with people around the world. And these people have done extraordinary things, or talking about things that you couldn't even think about. And so if you don't get in, you just need to remember that, like, you're a girl from America. And so I thought about that, and I was like, okay, well, it's a done deal. Like, I'm not going to get into any of these universities. I'm just some 22-year-old black girl from Alabama in America. How can I compare to this girl from Somalia, I don't know. But, like, how can I compare? You know what I mean? So I had basically given up. I was crying so hard. It was so bad. That's why I took like a 6-day break. My voice. That's why I took like a 6-day break from posting anywhere, from talking to anybody. Like, it was really bad. Like, I cried for like 2 days straight. And my mother kept trying to tell me, hey, you hear back from Sophia on like Friday. You need to just keep your head up, because it was Monday. So I had to wait all the way till Friday, and I was just like, no, I'm never going to get in. I'm stupid. They would never accept me. And now what am I going to do? I'm going to have to wait till 2023 to reapply or whatever. Like, my life is over. Like, I was having a breakdown. It was bad. Like, I'm telling you, and I'm good with rejection normally. But I guess since I wanted this so bad, and since, like, I had done so much work staying up till 5 a.m, rewriting and contacting people and getting this stuff in and raising this money to pay for this, like, it meant a lot to me. You know what I mean? And I had a fight with my mother. I was like, she was so chill about it all. I was like, you don't even care. You don't care about this. And she was like, yes, I do. And my dad was like keeping his distance from me. And I was like, see, he's not even talking to me. He doesn't care. And, it was bad. I'm just saying, like, to be honest, to be real with you, so you'll know that, like, you have to have a backbone. Like, do not spiral like I did. If you do, then, hey, I completely understand, because I spiraled. But, like, you have to be confident within yourself, and you have to be a fortress, because if you're getting rejected by the first two, never, ever give up until the last school gives you the answer. That is the biggest advice I can give you. Do not give up until you get the answer from the last school, because I did all of that from Monday to Friday night. I was crying. I wasn't eating. My room got turned into a depression room. I was fighting with my parents. I was ignoring my sister. I got into it with my therapist. It was so bad until Friday night. I was like, you know what? I haven't eaten all day. I've been starving myself. I haven't been bathing. I haven't left my room. I've been arguing with my parents. I need to go get something to eat. So I went up to this place to get some what did I go get? Yakisoba. And I remember I looked at the time, and I was like, oh, it's like 8:58. The results will drop at 9 p.m. our time. And because it'll be 10 a.m. their time. And I was like, I'm not even going to check it. I know I didn't get into Sophia University. Like, I don't even know why I'm looking at it. And so I got my noodles. I was driving back, and Steve Lacy just dropped a new song called Mercury. And I was like, I'm just going to listen to this Steve Lacy song to make me feel better, because I know that I didn't get in, so I'm not going to look at it. So I put on Mercury, and I was in my car, and I was just chilling out, mellowing out, like feeling a little bit better, because the song is such a bop. And then I was sitting at this red light, and the red light felt like it was so unbelievably long for some reason. And I was like, I'm bored. I'm just going to look at it. I'm just going to look at it just so I could prove to myself that, like, I was never going to get into any of these schools. So I logged in. I pulled it up, and that bitch said accepted. And I was like, and so cars are honking behind me like, hey, bitch, it's a green light. And I'm just like, and so I slam my foot on the gas and drive home as fast as I can. And I run up in the house, throw my food on the table, and run upstairs to my parents' room. I knock, and they're like, yeah, come in. And, like I said, I've been fighting and arguing with my parents all week. I haven't spoken to my dad all week. So, like, it's a little awkward because I've never gone that long not talking to them. And then also, I'd rarely ever argue or get into it with my parents. So it was a little like, So I run up in there and I just shove the phone in their face and they're like, what? And they look at it and they're like, oh, and so we're just like, I got it. It's like, oh my God, I'm about to the bed. So yeah, it was great. It was like, whoa. But like, I couldn't really enjoy the experience that much because I was really sad about how I treated my parents and how I treated myself during the process. And what I will say is that, like, if you're like me who struggles with like, you know, how you view yourself academically, I will say, you know, put some things in place for like dealing with rejection, especially on this scale, and give yourself some mercy. Well, not mercy, but give yourself a pat on the back for even putting yourself out there, because I struggle with like feeling inadequate. And so getting this rejection kind of does something to me where it's like, okay, it's confirming that you weren't good enough. It's confirming that you aren't smart enough. And so to get into the school was like, why did I ever doubt myself? Why did I ever convince myself that I wasn't worthy or that I wasn't going to get into the school? So I will say that, like, if you struggle with rejection, if you struggle with inadequacy when it comes to school and whatever, please be kind to yourself. Please be kind to yourself, and do not take your anger out on other people, because I did that with my parents and I did that with my therapist too. And I have a therapy appointment today where I'm going to go apologize to my therapist. But like, just let it be a learning experience of being like, always wait. Don't sell yourself short, and always wait until the last school gives their answer. Do not just already shut yourself down like after 2 schools. So anyways, after that, it was time to look at the entrance packet. And the entrance packet is a fucking lot. You have a lot to do. You had to move yourself across the world. The first thing I told myself I need to look at is money. I had to figure out how to get over there. Now, one thing that every school was consistent with telling me is that we are not paying for your plane ticket to get over here. You have to pay for yourself. That is something that every single school was very, very, very vocal about. So I already realized that, like, okay, I need to set aside at least $1,000, maybe $2,000 for a ticket to get over there. So I started telling myself, all right, you already know you got to pay for that. Then I started looking at scholarships. Now, there is something that you can apply for at your embassy that's closest to you, which is called the MEXT scholarship. It's MEXT, MEXT scholarship. And the MEXT scholarship basically covers for everything. It covers your tuition, your books, your fees, your housing, and it also gives you a stipend. And a stipend is basically like an allowance that you get every month. It also gives you money for food or whatever you want to do a month. The MEXT scholarship is the best thing you can apply for. I've applied for the MEXT scholarship, but you don't get word that you got it until, like, I think it's going to be end of July, maybe end of July, sometime in August. So I'm still waiting to hear back from it. But the MEXT scholarship is by far the best thing you can apply for. And so not only should you apply for the MEXT scholarship, you should also apply for the scholarships that the university offers international students. Now, the thing that I tripped up on is you're supposed to apply for your scholarships while you're applying for the school. And I thought that you were supposed to apply for the scholarships after you've gotten in. But you apply while you're applying, because last night I went to go look at scholarships that I can apply for, and basically I've missed the deadline. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to pay for at least the first semester, or until, the scholarships open up for me again to apply. But they were like, oh yeah, applications were opened up in December. And I was like, oh, so when I was applying for the school, I was supposed to apply for this. So do not make the same mistake I did. If you want a scholarship directly from the school, make sure you look at that timeline and realize that while you're applying to the school, you also need to apply to those scholarships. So oopsie on my part. But I'm going to contact the schools and see if there's any last minute scholarships, or see if they can make some type of exception, being like, hey, she just didn't know. Let's let her apply because we have some money left over. I'm hoping that that'll work out for me, but we'll see. Because I know that when you first enter, you have to pay like your interest fees. And when they totaled up your interest fees, for me, it was about 561,000 yen. And that translates to about $4,000 USD. And then also you have to pay for your housing. And for housing, it's a little bit different. In America, you basically pay you like all the months that you're going to be living there, like all the months in the year, 12 months in the year, they basically total that up and you pay, like, let's say $3,000 for all of those, so you don't have to pay monthly. In Japan, you have to pay monthly, like your like rent. So for the dorm that I'm applying to, it's about $333 a month USD. So along with me having to pay the $4,000 entrance fees, I also have to pay $333 a month for the dorms. And so that's a fucking lot. And then I don't know what I had to pay for the semester. I don't know if the $4,000 is meant for this first semester or that's just interest fees. And then there's a whole nother thing for the semester. I haven't seen anything for the semester, so I don't know. And I can't tell you right now, but I'm just telling you that for Sophia University, your for global studies, your entrance fee is about 561,000 yen. And like I said, $4,000 USD. And then you need to get ready to pay it monthly. Now, there's only 2 dorms that I can apply to that have women. And the first one is the rent is actually $700. And then the next one is $300. So you also need to pay attention to the fact that, like, the dorms that you apply to, the cost of living is going to be different. You're going to have everything, but it's going to be different. And also, like, the room, and of course the room in the one that costs less is going to not be as nice and new looking as the one that's $700. But if you're like me and you have to live on a budget, you need to just go with what you got. And I do suggest living in a dorm. I know it'd be great to be like, get your own apartment, but I suggest living in a dorm because if you're like me, who is a big introvert, you need to live in a dorm because you need to be in a situation where you're basically going to be forced to socialize. And also, you know, finding an apartment that's going to be in the budget of $300 a month is going to be so fucking dingy, but at least in a dorm, like, it won't be as dingy. And then also, I will say that, like, being in the dorm would be a good way, like I said, to make friends. But it's also good because a bunch of people have problems, like, finding people that'll rent to foreigners. So you need to just keep that in mind. Anyways, besides then, it's the visa process. The visa process is so long. It is so, like, you need to start the visa process immediately because once you turn all your stuff in, it takes about 2 months for everything to be processed. I mean, by the time I finally get my visa, like, officially processed and everything is in place, it's going to be about time for me to go. It's going to be time for me to get up and go. So, you know, start that visa process as soon as you can. Now, a lot of people were asking me about financial aid. I cannot tell you not one thing about financial aid because I never qualified for financial aid in America. So I just told myself, don't even look at it in Japan because, like, if they even do have financial aid, you're not gonna qualify for it. So if you're trying to look up anything financial aid wise, you need to just look it up for yourself because Miss Morgan is not gonna be able to tell you. People were asking me about the language barrier, like what I'm going to do about that. Now, being in Tokyo, and because there's a lot of Americans that's been living there for a good while, you know, military or just being over there out of your own choice, I've already looked it up and a lot of things are in English, and I am going to learn Japanese. I am going to try to find any classes or anything else that I can that I can, you know, go into to learn. Maybe it could be a language exchange. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to learn it. So money wise, when you're moving over there, so let's say the ticket is $1,000, or let's really say the ticket is like $1,400. So the ticket is $1,400, which you know you have to pay for yourself. If you have the MEC scholarship, you don't have to worry about anything. But let's say you don't have the MEC scholarship, and let's say you're like me in the position where you don't have any scholarships and you haven't heard back from the MEC scholarship. So I'm gonna need about $1,400 for my ticket. I need about $4,000 already for my entrance fees, and then I need to be ready to pay $333 for my dorm room right now. So you can add that up, but like from the get go, you need to have that. And somebody told me before that like you like to apply to Japan and to make that move, you need to have at least $5,000 to $6,000 ready to go. Like to move yourself over there for the dorms, For the entrance, you need to have at least $5,000 to $6,000 ready to go, because once they give you your acceptance, you have to hit the ground running because there's so much you have to do. So yeah, if you're wanting to apply and you do not have $5,000 or $6,000 ready to go, like I'm telling you, once you turn all your stuff in, you know that like you're either at that goal or you're going to be at that goal by the time you get accepted. Then you don't need to apply. You need to hold off. You need to raise your money, and then you need to come back. Luckily, from my job, I saved about $10,000, and I've kept that $10,000 locked away because I told myself when I apply to these schools, I want to have way over what I need to be over there. So I have $10,000 in my savings still sitting locked up. So when it's time for me to start paying for everything like I'm doing now, I'm pulling from that 10K. And by the time I get done pulling from it, I will still have a good bit of that money left for furnishing my dorm room, buying me some other stuff, holding me over until whatever. So hopefully I can dig into that $10,000 until I get a scholarship where it's going to give me some of that relief. And then I'm hoping to get a job over there. I don't know what jobs could be available for me, but I am hoping that I can get a job over there, because if I get a good job with good pay, then that can take over, me paying that monthly rent for my dorm room. So that's my plan, to pull from that $10,000 until I get things in place where I don't have to pull from it anymore. So just letting you guys know that. So I will say, if you have a goal for saving, I'm not saying that you have to have $10,000 saved like me, but I'm just saying that you need to have around $5,000 to $6,000 ready to go in your savings account. People were asking me what majors they have. I don't know. You have to research that for yourself. You have to look up what I looked up. You have to look up programs at Japanese schools, that are taught in English. You have to find what you're looking for and then see the requirements for it. I don't know every single major that they had, because I went straight to what I was looking for. So I don't know. I can't help you with that. I know some people were asking, where I got this idea from. Like I said, TikTok. I think I've gone through everything. I think I've gone through what they're looking for, money wise, the fact that I don't know financial aid, like scholarships, if you should live in the dorms or not, which I think you should. Another thing I think you need to do is from your dorms to your college, because it's not the same like it is in America, where your dorm is on the campus. The dorms are a ways from the campus on another plot of land, and you're either gonna have to ride your bike or take the train to your building, to the buildings you're going to frequent. So I really advise mapping out how long it's going to take, because you need to figure out if you're going to need to get some type of train pass before you go, or if you need a bike. So really look into that. But yeah, like I said, ask yourself where you want to live. There was a university in Kyoto that I wanted to apply to, but it didn't have my major. It was basically just for, science and technology. So I couldn't apply there. But think about where you want to live in Japan. And then after you think about where you want to live, or if you're not picky, just be overall, go into Google and type up where you want to go to. Type up programs in English, not programs, look up not programs in English. Look up programs taught in English. Because when you look up programs in English, they're just going to show you like English majors. Look up programs taught in English. And like I said, be ready for that wait. Be ready for that rejection. Be an iron fortress. Be confident in yourself. Get all the help you can with writing your thesis proposal. Grade your past grades and your GPA plays a huge part. So make sure that your GPA is looking fresh. Do not think that you can that you really gonna be able to step up as good unless you have a 3.0 or above. If you do have below a 3.0, then that thesis proposal needs to be better than a witch's titty. You know what I'm saying? Like that thing they better be nutting after they read your thesis proposal if you have like less than a 3.0. But, just know you can do it. Just know that, like, you can accomplish it. You can get in. And remember that there are 2 entries that even if you don't make the spring entry and you don't get into that school, you can possibly get into the autumn entry. So just know that can happen for yourself. So, yeah, that's basically everything. Thank you guys for being here. And if you have any more questions, just comment them down below. So, bye.